BARK Radio.
What's good, everybody? It's Robo from All Bark back with another video, and today I'm bringing you my fourth 2025 NBA Draft Big Board. In this video, I'll be going over my personal top 60 prospects for this year's draft class and breaking down each player in the process. I also wanted to mention that all the heights listed in this video are the NBA Combine's barefoot measurements. And before the draft, I'll have an updated final mock for you guys out on the channel, so stay tuned for that as well. With all that said, let's go ahead and get started with the video, starting with the honorable mentions. Before we get into the board, here's my honorable mentions. These are all the guys that I do not currently have in my top 60, but I could see a team taking a chance on around 2. This is in order, starting with Mioclis Avdalis if he foregoes the college route, but this is not a super thought out list player to player still. Let me know your thoughts and if there's anyone here you think deserves a shot in the draft. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on these guys, or even some players that may have left off the list. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started with the top 60, starting at the top with number 1. Cooper Flagg is the obvious number 1. He was a National Player of the Year as a freshman for Duke after a dominant two-way season, and he's still a younger 18-year-old kid on draft night after averaging nearly 20 points a game and dishing out 4 assists. Flagg shot at a high clip as well, and obviously is one of the better defensive prospects we've seen in some time. The shot-making jump he took late in the year was huge, and we saw the athleticism and IQ on display all year. The handle and continued shot consistency is what can separate him into a superstar at some point in his career.
11 points for Arizona. They're down 1. Flagg got to take it over by Gillis at Duke. Flagg pushing, looks at the clock, fires a 3. Down it goes.
Not bank it in. Malowacz keeps it alive. Somehow it ends up in Flagg's hand.
Dylan Harper is pretty unanimously the number 2 prospect in this draft. Harper dominated the floor for Rutgers this season as an offensive engine. He's got a rare blend of scoring, playmaking, and size, the lead guard spot, that make him really tough to guard. He gets to the rim with ease, has a strong handle and good burst, and the jumper has come along. I like comparing his skill set to guys like Cade Cunningham or like a bigger Jalen Brunson, and I definitely see the potential of a future All-NBA level guard with him if the shot continues to get more consistent.
Good recovery here against Harper with a spin. Dale. See if they can open up the floor. Wow, look at this. Harper! Dylan!
Top 10 of the conference in assists. Harper splitting the defense.
There's Harper. Students counting down and got right to the basket.
Ace Bailey is who he is. Some love his game and scoring potential, while others see red flags all over, but I believe his ceiling is sky high. The shot making this season at a level you really can't ignore no matter what your opinion is on him, and I think his shot creation took a bit of a leap compared to early on in the season, and the athleticism and his size is enough to be a top 5 pick. His size and length make him a strong upside defender, especially with his ability to help around the rim, and the shot selection could get better in a stronger situation to me, which would help the advanced numbers look better for sure.
Bailey's got just 5. He fires a 3. Those work a lot better. The ball's going in with some of these guys. Oh, the cross. Bailey on with 4. Rice inside. Oh.
Here's Bailey again. Knifing inside. Bailey to
VJ Edgecombe grew a ton this season at Baylor. He wasn't much of a scorer early on, more just an athlete, but as the year progressed he took a major leap as a scorer in creating his own offense. Before the year started, he was a potential top 5 pick despite clear shooting questions, and now he solidified himself there, projecting to be at least a decent shooter and a good two-way player. And again, the main attraction with VJ is the freak athleticism and defense. He averaged over 2 steals a game as a freshman and was just a walk-in highlight every night.
Love kick out to none.
Oh! Stolen away, breakaway. Rob Ryan is
Trying to find the open man. They do. Edgecombe got him.
One of them quickly. I agree.
Right.
Trey Johnson's a bigger scoring guard at 6'5" without shoes. He's pretty reliant on the jumper as he's lacking a bit in explosiveness, but the shooting and touch in the mid-range is such a strong area of his game. He's established himself as a top 6 guy in this class. He shot almost 40% from deep on good volume and had a near 90% free throw percentage, and he can defend on ball well enough to suggest he'll be a plus on that side in the future, which could be big for his versatility since he hasn't shown much to be a playmaker so far.
And again, we talk about controlling the game offensively.
5. Johnson, step back 3. Of course.
Team. Well played by Conwell. He's going to elevate corner.
Despite the measurables, I'm still very high on Derek Queen. He had a really strong year for Maryland, winning Big Ten Freshman of the Year over 4 other projected lottery picks. He's got a really well-rounded offensive game with great touch around the basket, a ton of strength on his frame, and some pretty advanced IQ as a playmaker out of the post. You can see some Jokic study in his game for sure. Defense is a question mark with the weight concerns, but his mobility is not affected much by it, and the offensive ability definitely sets him apart from the other bigs in this class to me.
Smith, it's just the firepower on the perimeter alongside that.
Queen wants to dance with Wolf. Baseline.
From the out of bounds to the freshman Queen, who's driving, floats it.
Jeremiah Fears was one of the best young guards in all of college basketball and skyrocketed on our draft boards this year. His speed and quickness are on a different level than most guys, and he's got a knack for drawing fouls and hitting clutch shots down the stretch. The jumper has to be better and more consistent in the future though if he wants to be an offensive leader. He didn't shoot well this season, but he's going to grow in that area, and he's got the form and occasional results to suggest it'll improve, and a lot of ability as a playmaker too.
Fears on the drive, cut off, steps back.
He's got to get it off quick. He does.
Wagee.
This is where Fears is dangerous.
Look at that.
Kaman Malawach is definitely a raw prospect, but he has a ton of size and length at the center position, which makes his defensive potential sky high. He dominated in his roles as setup scorer and putback big man at Duke, shooting over 70% from the floor and knocking down an occasional jumper. However, Malawach can be much more than just a role player in the dunker spot. He's got some potential as a shooter, and he's an excellent screener in the pick and roll, and defensively, he shines on tape. He's super disruptive and tough to score over in the paint because of his 7'6" reach advantage.
Duke defense because their help side is so good.
Knipple to Malawach.
Half. Knipple, 11 first half points.
Con Knipple is obviously an incredible shooter, but as the season progressed, he became one of the premier scorers for Duke, and when Cooper Flagg went down for a few games with an injury, he stepped up and came away with ACC tournament MVP. He showed some more scoring versatility and passing ability along the way. The defense wasn't an issue at the college level, but there's definitely some limitations there right now. However, the shot making and playmaking are what make him a strong prospect nonetheless.
Knipple for three.
What they run on the offensive end. Knipple into traffic. Look, James
Kicks it. Quick release.
Cook. He always brings energy.
Colin Murray Boyles was one of the best front court players in the country this season at South Carolina. Despite finishing last in the SEC, he managed second team all-conference individually. The 6'7" big man has improved his game a ton, becoming a potential top 10 pick this season. He's still more of a non-shooter, but he should continue to grow in that area, and even without that, he impacts the game in so many ways on both ends and dominates in the post. He's really crafty with the ball and has taken a real leap as a playmaker on the offensive end, while being a real difference maker defensively.
The biggest reasons why he has taken that big step forward, Murray Boyles spins by.
Oklahoma, the Sooners get another chance.
Noah Asenge is another lanky French wing prospect with some questions on the jumper, but enough size and fluidness to warrant a lottery selection. The shot hasn't been great this season, but he looks comfortable shooting the ball and has been really good outside of that recently, finding ways to score efficiently regardless. He gets to the line pretty consistently, and he's putting up about 11 points a game as an 18-year-old playing in Germany's top league. With his frame and motor on the wing, I can see a lot of teams loving him in the mid to late lottery, but the jumper will need to come along stronger eventually.
Kexig assist. Kan. Tar vi.
Kasparis Yakuchonis had an incredible start to the year for Illinois, becoming a potential top 5 pick by mid-season, but some turnover issues and an efficiency drop-off slid him down a fair amount. I still think he's worth a lottery pick though with his offensive ceiling. He's such a fun player to watch as well. He has all the tools a guard needs to succeed in the NBA, and he's got great size for a league guard, and I completely buy the jumper despite where the percentage finished at this season.
Between the legs. He's from Canada. Meanwhile,
Yakuchonis. Shot clock at 7. The free.
Thomas Sorber is one of my favorite guys in this draft class, honestly. He suffered an injury that ended his freshman season at Georgetown mid-season, but we saw more than enough with him to believe he is still worth a first-round pick, and in my opinion, a lottery pick. Sorber is just an all-around big who impacted the college game in several ways at just 18 years old. He can score, pass, rebound well, and defend at a high level, and just measured in at 7'6" wingspan and a 9'1" standing reach, which takes any height concerns away from me completely.
He's still learning, and there's Sorber. Jenkins, he drives, Chauncey.
I would not be surprised if he gets a bucket.
Sorber.
Despite some poor measurements, Jace Richardson is a great prospect to me. He became Michigan State's #1 option offensively, putting up some huge scoring nights on high efficiency. He is a smaller 2-guard at just 6'1" without shoes, but his ability to score isn't impacted by that. The bag is really advanced. He made a ton of tough layups and floaters in traffic and has a strong handle to beat defenders to the rim. And on top of that, the jumper is extremely pure, and a breakout at that level of efficiency this early on in the process is a great sign going forward as to what he can become.
Look at the run out. Nice pass. Richardson whirling to finish. Magic number for Michigan State could be 70. They're 27-1 when they score most of them in the first half. Richardson is going to take it himself. He's got another gear.
Asa Newell is still a near lottery level prospect for me. He fits a role I really like in the league as an athletic stretch big who thrives in the dunker spot. He can both play the 4 and 5 at times. He had some great games at Georgia this year displaying his freak athleticism. He's over 6'10" in shoes and is fluid as a wing on both ends of the floor. He showed a solid jumper, and defensively he can switch and run the floor in transition. His free throw percentage suggests growth as a shooter soon, and pairs with athleticism and aggression, it makes him even more enticing to consider.
Into another three. Newell fights for the rebound, takes it on Grant.
Asa Newell, he is so unselfish, but when he goes to the bucket, he will.
I was early on Carter Bryant, and he eventually came around later in the year, shooting well into first-round consideration with a minute spike. The usage rate is concerning with him, but his minutes and role saw a leap because of his consistent disruption on the defensive end and ability to knock down shots in timely moments. And as time goes on in the league, I think we'll see Carter turn into a really well-rounded player. He can give any team smart, efficient, high-energy minutes on the wing, and he's got great size along with that.
Jihad's been active on both ends. Tough shot.
Working it around out of that timeout, short for Bryant, who takes it.
In the trees, Bryant for three.
Nick Clifford came back to Colorado State to be the leading scorer this season, and he did exactly that, putting on some absolute clinic performances to close out the year. He also landed on the Mountain West All-Defensive team, showcasing that two-way ability and locking himself in as a first-round pick. Clifford put everything together this season, dropping 19 and 10 a night on 50% from the field. Now that the three ball is hitting at a pretty impressive volume, I think the production, two-way ability, and clear leadership values make him a potential lottery pick in this year's draft.
In those 7 games. Clifford!
From the basket.
Clifford. So good, it's... Clifford turns the corner!
Igor Demon had an up-and-down season, but he had a really solid tournament run for BYU. He's got some really high-level creation skill and is a legit 6'8" without shoes. He's arguably the best passer in the draft. The shooting slump was real though, and proved he's got a lot of room for improvement as a scorer. Though I still think his playmaking, handle, and fluidness at his size is more than enough to consider him in the lottery. And if he ever gets more explosive and consistent, the potential is through the roof with him.
Demon speeds to the basket, reverses it.
Alabama with 11 made threes already. Demon going to work, got a man up and gives it up. Here's Demon, drives.
Danny Wolf ended the year on a strong note, helping Michigan make the Sweet 16. 7-footers with his skill set are so rare, and he continued to be a playmaker for Michigan while leading them on the glass as a near double-digit rebounder. He can put the ball on the floor and isolate to get buckets, and off the ball he's got legitimate range. He shot under 34% from 3 though, so I wouldn't say it's a strength of his, but he is a capable shooter. However, the long-term defensive ability against NBA bigs is a definite question.
Wolf. Tough matchup. Takes it in! Wolf against Broom. Step back, Jay. Maybe on the bounce here. Wolf crosses, spins.
Rasheer Fleming's performance this season shot him into lottery contention. He didn't end the year in the way he wanted to, and I can see that dropping him into this range of the draft. All year, though, he was one of the most productive players in the country with a ton of versatility. The athleticism and shooting is obvious, but he's shown creation flashes and elite defensive tools and instincts, using his 7'5" wingspan to his advantage to just outmatch opponents and take over games.
That was really good. Now it goes in.
Got Bennett with Ajabo. You have 2 huge mismatches.
Yeah, could have got it to over the top.
Second behind David Dixon.
Fleming.
Will Riley's got great upside and just had some really strong measurements coming in at a legit 6'8" without shoes. He is pretty frail, but on the court, he finished the back half of the season really strong, becoming a more consistent scorer for the Illini. And it led him to being named the Big Ten Sixth Man of the Year. His shooting splits finished a bit lower, but we've seen the shot making on display. And he's had some big scoring bursts this season. With his size, scoring traits, and age, he'll definitely be a first-round pick.
No one else in double figures. Riley's had a great second half on the move. 2023. Shot clock at 1. Riley's got a fire. It's off in time.
Cedric Coward has skyrocketed up the draft board after a huge combine performance. This season, he transferred to Washington State from Eastern Washington, and although an injury ended his season after just 6 games, he was super impressive, breaking out to 18 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks a game, while shooting 40% from 3. And I think the well-roundedness he showed on top of his +9 wingspan and combine shooting display should definitely get him drafted in round 1.
Trying to get past block. Now trying to use his body. Just being a bully with the playing with a trio of former teammates definitely helps his count.
Nolan Traore had a pretty rough season after some high expectations, which really lowered his draft stock for a while. But he had a bit of a late-season surge. But regardless of that, I still think it's obvious that he's not quite there yet to be a lottery guy. So looking at him now, he's a 6'4" lead guard whose best is a playmaker and downhill scorer using that quickness. He dishes about 5 assists a night and could still be another future star in the NBA if the early hype was there for a reason. We just need to see more consistent shot making with him. There are some mixed opinions on Noah Penda as a prospect, as some think he's a lottery level talent and some have him as a second rounder. I moved him on my board a bit as lately he's been really showing out with bigger performances. He's got a good shot despite the lower percentage. He's a strong defender with great frame on the wing and seems to have good instincts on the floor. He's not a great athlete, but he's versatile enough as a player for NBA teams to be really interested in him as a future plus defensive floor spacer on the wing.
One of the stars of the show today, 14 points for Diawara.
I've cooled off on Liam McNeely after diving into his year more. He's definitely a better shooter than his percentages on the year paint him to be, but being what they are on top of his lesser defensive ability and rim finishing, it's obvious as to why his stock has taken a hit. The ceiling isn't super high, but he can definitely be an early plug and play in a rotation. Most scouts know his capabilities as a shooter, and he still dropped a 37-point performance as a freshman, so I still see him fitting well into the NBA as an off-ball movement guy.
A bucket here could make it interesting. McNeely!
Down by Johnson. The cutter. McNeely rises up.
Walter Clayton was one of the most exciting players to watch in the country this season. The NCAA tournament most outstanding player could go higher than this, but his age and size combined with a score-first role could limit his stock. But he averaged over 4 assists a game and made some incredible plays throughout the year, and his improvement as a finisher is a great sign that he'll be able to score at the next level beyond just shooting. So I really like his potential and compare him to a guy like Peyton Pritchard in the league.
Auburn gets back defensively. Clayton. Oh, is he tough and strong? Nice split. Oh, Clayton! Clayton, head and shoulder fake, step back, 10 to shoot. Clayton the drive.
Juwan Behringer has moved my board consistently throughout the year as his performances and roles gotten better and better. The volume isn't high enough for me to fully buy into him as a player yet, especially considering how little he gets involved on the offensive end. But he's going to get drafted based on what scouts believe he can be with an expanded role, and that's as a defensive-minded big man, protecting the rim and switching on defense to disrupt plays with his mobility.
Lofted up top, Behringer!
Maxime Reynaud has moved the board a fair amount lately. He was one of the best offensive big men in the country this season. The senior averaged 20 points a game and over 10 rebounds, and is a great mix of footwork in the paint as well as a confident jumper. He hit the second most threes for a 7-footer in a season this year, and as a defensive player, he definitely has to improve, but the offensive talent is much more than worth the risk.
The step back from Maxime. Nice fake. Reynaud going for the slam.
Ben Serif is a 6'5" guard from Israel playing in Germany, and has done a great job as an all-around point guard, scoring primarily at the rim and in the mid-range, using a great handle and change of pace to get to his spots. The downside is a lack of explosiveness and a low three-point percentage with some shaky mechanics, but if that jumper does come around, he could become an impact player fairly early on in his career.
Get into a half-court set. Montero having to match up with Saraf. There's a step back. There's a three.
Adu Thiero missed some time with an injury this year, but he's healthy now for pre-draft stuff. He's a stellar athlete who knows how to use it to his advantage to create offense, and he's got good size in the wing, coming out with great footwork with the ball, which helped make him one of the best inside-the-arc scorers in the country this season. The jumper does need work, and he doesn't play make much, but he can fit into a strong bench role.
And he just punished Grant Nelson. Thiero with the blow-by. Whoa! Over the hands of Owe. Thiero.
Cam Jones was one of the most experienced players in this class and was a consensus All-American. He was one of my hidden gems in last year's draft class, and the extra year at Marquette was the right move as he stepped up as a playmaker, helping in his stock solidify. We know he can get buckets at the college level as he's super crafty with a strong jumper, but 6 assists a night make him much more intriguing for NBA teams to consider.
No question about it, but it's all set up by...
Kamari McGee on Cam Jones, fall away three from the corner. Kept his dribble alive.
Hugo Gonzalez hasn't moved much on my board this year, mostly due to a smaller role playing for Real Madrid, but scouts like his athleticism and how hard he plays on the floor, and lately he's put together back-to-back impressive games with higher usage and minutes, which help a lot. He's had some solid production in his role here and there in the EuroLeague, and clearly has the tools to be a good player going forward. Ryan Kalkbrenner was one of the most dominant bigs in all of college basketball, especially as a rim protector. He took home the Big East Defensive Player of the Year award 4 times, using his size to his advantage and being really effective as a disruptor around the rim, even though he's not the most mobile center out there. Offensively, the range is expanding, but still has a ways to go with consistency to me for his shot to be seen as an asset.
Zayden Lowry, the step through and Kalkbrenner.
Stephen Ashworth still has not scored yet. As Kalkbrenner takes an outside
for 29 against Duke in the ACC title game.
Drake Powell had a slower year than he had hoped for, but we still see the talent on display, especially on the defensive end. The freshman had a ton of hype as a defensive wing prospect. He mainly played in a spot-up role, but previously was much more than that. But he shot 38% from deep and has a great motor on both ends of the floor, and again, his values on the defensive end, as well as the efficiency he showed on the three-point shot this season.
Drake Powell, pull-up pop, got it to R.J. Davis. Drives all the way through. In the corner left to Powell.
I think Bogojev Markovic is one of the better second-round project picks in this class. He is frail for 6'11", but he seems to be filling out a bit, and he should continue to grow in that area. He scores mostly with spot-up jumpers, running the floor, and having great touch in the post, and the rare level of mobility and fluidness of his size is a big draw for what his future potential could be as he continues to develop.
Markovic.
Janai Broome was one of the best players in college basketball this season, taking away the SEC Player of the Year award and finishing runner-up for National Player of the Year. He's an all-around big man with production in basically every category. He put up 2.5 blocks a night and a 19-point double-double with clear playmaking flashes out of the post. With him, you're getting a complete NBA-ready post player, especially if the jumper keeps improving.
Kelly. Back for Broome. The back in. Broome. Fade away.
Alex Tui flirted with the draft process last cycle but chose to return to the NBL, and this year he improved quite a bit. He's shown more aggressiveness, especially getting to the rim, and I think the shooting is something a lot of people will think will be a strength of his with some time, as he's already made strides in that area year to year.
Interest in can they do it, will they do it, did anyone really think...
Hansen Yang is a massive old school big man out of China who has dominated with his footwork, high level passing reads, and elite rebounding. The downsides are the slow feet, lack of explosion, and limited range, but he's averaged over 20 and 11 in the CBA since mid-March, and has shown really strong touch and feel, and the jumper could come along as he has knocked down some threes, which would be huge for his future.
Gets this one all the way. Oh, baby!
Tyrese Proctor just had his best season of his career this year, especially from a shooting standpoint. He shot over 40% from 3 this season for Duke, including a red-hot start to the tournament, and also a career-high 45% from the floor. The assist totals were down due to playing with Cooper Flagg and having a guard-heavy team this season, but I buy the previous creation with a now much improved jumper.
Big part of it, the unselfish nature of this group. Proctor got a 250 with a ridiculous wingspan.
Oh, say goodnight.
Proctor.
Chaz Lanier transferred to Tennessee from North Florida and made an instant impact offensively. He's a gifted offensive weapon and finished his college career with a 40% three-point percentage on almost 700 attempts. He projects as an average size 2 guard, and the defense and playmaking is definitely lacking, which is why he's a round 2 guy. But his quick release and elite efficiency is a great asset that should draw a lot of interest.
Chaz Lanier, quick release there. Lanier with 10 first half points.
Yannick Conan Niederhauser has skyrocketed up the ranks after a really strong showing at the G League Elite Camp where he earned a combine invite. So much so that despite me not being super high in his game right now, I'd expect him to get drafted earlier in round 2. He's got some development to do in order to be an effective NBA player, but the athleticism is obvious and he plays with great energy, especially on the defensive end.
Baldwin into Conan Niederhauser. Drives.
Jameer Watkins' stock has been fairly stagnant compared to where it was last year, but his level of play this season was still solid. He's a 6'6" wing with good strength and a ton of athleticism, and he's working on the jumper despite, again, a lower percentage. And while he's still up and down, I definitely see the improvement, and he's got a lot of value as a defender and athlete on the floor regardless.
Waterman wincing in pain, trying to defend Watkins.
Kobe Brea is the best pure shooter in the entire draft class, and in terms of percentage, has been arguably the best shooter in all of college basketball over the past few seasons. His downside is the major flaws on the defensive end, as well as a lack of creation and on-ball ability. But as a pure shooting specialist, I definitely think Brea could find a spot in the league.
Another screen, another three, Brea!
We'll try to lock him up tonight. Brea will shoot from the outside.
RJ Lewis this season developed into one of the best players in the country at St. John's. The All-American and Big East Player of the Year averaged 18 a night at 6'7". That scoring ability as a taller guard will be intriguing in NBA front offices. His best abilities are getting to the rim, drawing fouls, and scoring inside the arc, and he plays with super high effort and energy on the floor.
3 of 14. St. John's is 2 for 9. Lewis from the outside.
Kobe Sanders was a stand-up performer at the Portsmouth Invitational and earned himself an invite to the NBA Combine, skipping the G League Elite Camp entirely. He's a 6'7" scorer who averaged almost 5 assists a night this season, showcasing his ability as an elite initiator. He's not an incredible athlete, but passable, and the well-rounded offensive skill set can make him an impactful player.
Sanders run a lot of half-court sets and very good at it too. Sanders.
Cyan James came to Duke this offseason from Tulane and was a very high-quality starting guard for one of the best teams in the country. James landed on the ACC All-Defense team this season and is a good size for a guard at 6'5". He shot over 40% from 3 this season, so the shooting value on top of that defense could help him outperform this draft slot.
Some contact.
James, boom. Active when he's in the game. Nice slip. The roll, extra.
John Tanja is another experienced college scorer who can fit in the league on the wing. The Colorado State and Missouri transfer landed on first-team All-Big Ten and was a consensus All-American for Wisconsin this season, putting up almost 20 points a night on great efficiency along with an absurd free throw percentage. He's a stellar scorer who definitely has NBA upside to me in the right situation.
Pull out there. Tanja will try a dribble of his own.
Tanja on the drive, hangs and...
I haven't been very high on Rocco Sikorsky much this cycle, as he didn't get much playing time in the NBL after entering the season as one of the most higher upside players in this draft class. But he does have great size at the center position, standing around 7'3". He's not the strongest and lacks speed and quickness to be as mobile as he needs to be right now, but he does make up for it a bit though with his solid defensive instincts and obviously his age.
The Sydney Kings as well.
Eric Dixon was also one of the best scorers in the country this season, leading the nation in points per game with 23 a night. There are a lot of questions with him surrounding his age, athleticism, and size issues, but even with those clear negatives and a fit as a tweener big man, the season he had as a versatile bucket getter should have given him a shot.
The proof is in that. 4 for their last 5. Dixon.
1 more point from the all-time record. Into the paint. Up and under.
Dink Pate is another big guard who has had some higher hopes but just hasn't put it together yet. There's a lot of highs and lows of his performances in the G League, especially in terms of the jumper, but his ability to create looks for himself as well as his versatility due to his size and skill set definitely make him an intriguing selection.
Capitan is pushing. Here comes Pate! Pass ahead to Pate. Pate will beat Wood.
Javon Small is another smaller veteran college point guard who has produced more than enough to give himself a shot at the NBA future in round 2. The Oklahoma State transfer showed out of West Virginia this season as both a scorer and a playmaker, putting up almost 19 and 6 a night, generating more draft buzz around his name as a potential bench piece.
3 to shoot, Small, in trouble, spinning, look at that.
Yes, I am 5'11" with shoes on.
Amari Williams is a late riser I've started to like. He's a super physical big man listed at 7 foot 260. He's a special passer out of the post, showing the playmaking upside, and he rebounds the ball exceptionally well. His rim presence is strong on both ends, and despite his age, I definitely see him getting an opportunity in the NBA because of his ability on the interior.
And Ivasic again. Knocked away Williams, another block for him. He'll go the other way.
Hunter Salas shot up boards last season with a breakout year at Wake Forest, but inconsistency forced him to return to school. This season he produced more, but the inconsistency was still there. When he's on, he looks the part, but when he's off and forcing tough looks, you can see why he came back. And the three-point percentage was pretty rough again, so I think late second is the right area for him heading into workouts.
27. Make it. To keep the top offensive rebounder in the ACC, you and off the board.
Vlad Golden is an absolute monster and had an eventful college career going from Russia to Texas Tech to FAU and then transferring to Michigan, where he was just a dominant force in the paint, averaging over 16 a night this season. But the recent development of a jump shot this season has made his NBA future a lot brighter to me.
On that kind of a play.
Golden's going to take it. Pass picked up by Golden. And the Wolverines the other way.
Micah Peavy has been on the radar for years now and never really played well enough to make the leap, but after the finish of the season he had at Georgetown this year, the draft is a real possibility now. He played an absurd 37 minutes per game this year and shot the three 10% higher than he did in the rest of his college career. And again, he shined defensively where his real value lies.
January 25th, a 78-68 decision. Peavy.
That's wide open inside.
Mark Sears is a pretty undersized guard for the NBA, but that was the expectation pre-measurements, so he isn't hurt too much by that. The year started kind of up and down performance-wise for him, but he had his moments, especially in the postseason. His size and play style may make teams shy away, but being as good of a shooter and playmaker as he is could get him a look regardless.
Morey saves it, gets it back. Sears, no! NCAA tournament record. Sears has it tied. This is for...
Ryan Nembhard led the country in assists this season, nearly putting up double-digit numbers at the college level, which is a very rare feat. And he followed up this season with a really strong NBA Combine performance showcasing that passing ability. giving him a real shot to join his brother Andrew in the NBA.
Nembhard's vision exceptional. He got bumped off his spot, and he stepped.
3 good looks, though. Remember, he had the first 11 points.
Elijah Martin was a great player at FAU, but he really put his name on the NBA map this season after taking another step at Florida and helping to win a national championship in the process. He is a smaller 2 guard at just 6'2", but his athleticism and strength coupled with a solid jumper could help him carve a future in the league.
Good 3.
I agree.
Get it ahead. Martin, step back 3.
He's 1 turnover in the last 11, but they get one right there in the first minute of the second. That's
Michael Ruzic was out for a big chunk of the year with an injury and has not produced much at all. But prior to the injury, he started generating some buzz with his offensive ability as a big man. At 6'10", he's got a lot of skill and versatility, stretching the floor while also having nice touch around the rim. Defensively, there's some work to do, but he can use his size and length to disrupt shots in the end as well.
Međutim, danas sve ulazi apsolutno.
Bryce Williams is an older prospect, but has showcased some incredible shot-making ability over his college career, especially this season at Nebraska, where he averaged over 20 points a game on really strong shooting splits. I definitely see a scenario where a team wants to try and add a potential bench piece late in round 2 and selects him with it.
Williams gets the steal. Give Buchtenzel a little bit of an assist. Williams going to the left. There's Williams curling for 3. Big bucket.
That's it for my 4th 2025 NBA Draft Big Board. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on who you want your team to target in this draft or in the offseason, or any ideas you have for content on the channel in the future. As always, thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
BARK Radio.